Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the final word. Man City 1, Everton 1. I'm joined by Rob, one of our patrons. See, you pay your money. You get to sit here.
Dreams come true.
Well, you say that, but I know you mean it. We are possibly in the hottest room in the world as well, Rob. So if our curls fall out during the show, that is why. I suppose if anyone had told us first couple of games of the season we took 4 points, probably would have took that.
Yeah, probably. I'd say so. I think away at Man City was the one that was causing the most sort of panic when the fixtures come out that early on. You know.
Yeah, you look at these games, and these are the. I think everyone's. You know, we spent a lot of money in the summer, and as fans, we want to look like we've gone up a level, and I think everyone else is looking to see. Well, they all want us to fail, don't they? Let's be honest. So last night was an interesting one. It was an early chance to see where we are. I mean, I think it's too early, but I think it was a good chance to see where we are against opposition who whisper this quietly, but have spent a lot more money than we have.
Although even us.
I know, but the media, that's not the media, because it's Man City, and because spending money is a thing for them. It's not a thing now in the media. Oh, they spent 50 million quid on a right back. Or they spent 50 million quid on his sub as well. But when we spend it, it's a big deal. So it was all talk about all the players we brought in last night, but City, well, you know, they spent whatever 200 million quid, doesn't matter. But I thought it was interesting that in the first week of the season, second week of the season, we had an early chance to test ourselves against one of the other, well, certainly one of the title contenders anyway.
Yeah, definitely. With their see-through tunnel.
Well. There you go. They probably spent more money on a see-through tunnel than like we have actually in terms of squad.
Yeah. It was a bit weird that when you see them taking the selfies of the players lining up in the tunnel through the glass.
Yeah, that's different level stuff. That's different level. That's Bramley Moore stuff. That.
Yeah. Do you think?
I think it will be. I think all that stuff now is, although it mightn't be for like maybe us, there's a market for it, and you've got to understand the market. I mean, I was up there last night, and the whole place is amazing. Anyone who talks about Man City and talks about, you know, them destroying football and all this, if you go up there and see how the area is being transformed, I think City have done it right. Even though they've got all the money, they haven't just gone, let's buy him. They look like they're looking after the community, and I think on the flip side, stuff like that I think is really interesting. Like, you know, the glass tunnels and all that.
Tottenham are doing it as well.
Well, there's clearly a market. And listen, if someone said to you or said to me, listen, Bramley Moore, your ticket's going to be cheaper because these people will be sitting in an area next to a glass tunnel, which won't take away anything from the players, I go, sad. Do you know what I mean? If it makes my ticket cheaper, I don't care.
I suppose so, yeah.
Right, let's get on to the game. The team, obviously, a couple of changes. Holgate coming in at right wing back. Tom Davies coming in instead of Klassen. And obviously, no Sandro again. I've seen a picture of him in his boots.
I know, yeah.
In his boots. In his really, really lightly furnished apartment, which is just like a table, a chair, and a telly.
Yeah, he hasn't even got the kettle out of the box yet, probably.
No, probably doesn't even know how to use a kettle. You know, he's on. I'm just wondering whether he's got past using deltas now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But he watched it at home. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin started up front. I mean, what did you make of the changes? Bringing, you know, dropping Klassen, not dropping Klassen, but bringing Davies in midfield.
I could see why he did it. I could see why he brought Davies in. The energy that he brings, and obviously there's probably something at the back of Davies' mind where you know, we had a great game against Man City at Goodison last year, so you know, it was an opportunity to capitalise on that. I can see that one. The right back one, Holgate. I was expecting to see Kuko in there again. I was braced for that. But now he goes with Holgate. Personally, I mean, I think I see Holgate as maybe the right-sided player in a back three. ideally. But saying that he didn't do too bad there yesterday.
No, but Holgate's got plenty to learn, which we'll speak about in a bit. I agree with you. I thought Davis coming in was obviously a reaction to the obviously needing to be more secure in the midfield, having tough opposition, and Davy Klassen. He played an hour. I think what was it against Stoke? He played an hour. He played the other night as well, and he's still finding his way. And I think some of these games are important for him to sit on the bench and just get a look at what Premier League football is like. Yeah. And the tactics dictated last night. Playing it was 3 at the back, and obviously from the wing backs. It dictated that we were gonna play on the break, and maybe Davy Klassen wasn't the right man. And also, and this is something we've got to get used to, hopefully get used to, is we've got a big game on Thursday night. Yeah. You don't just say your best team, well, not your best team, but it's horses for courses. You've got to be prepared to use all your squad and not just go, well, we're playing them every single game till they're worn out.
Yeah, you've got to remember as well, it's not like maybe last season where if you don't play against Man City in the weekend fixture, you're not playing this week. You've got another game on Thursday. So and I think of the two, probably the Thursday night game would be the one for Klassen.
Especially, with it being Europe as well. He's played. We've said this loads of times. Obviously, he was in the Europa League final last year. He understands that tournament. He understands what it's like to play in Europe, and also he's a very clever player. And in games like the split one, we're going to need, well, we don't need, but hopefully we'll get an away goal. And obviously, I just think last night was just more suited for Tom Davies. But there was a lot of interesting, little things in the game as well. The way we set up, it felt very negative at the beginning as they sort of found the positions and sort of stuck to them. But the more the game went on, you could see the game plan unfolding. First 20 minutes, it was all about, for me, just frustrating City and just basically saying to them, well, what have you got? We frustrated them and said, well, what have you got? And after 20 minutes, I just thought they haven't got very much. Keane was doing a man marking job. I think was it Jesus, and he was doing that man marking job, and Holgate was looking after Sane, who did not want to play wing back. It was very clear he didn't want to play wing back. And I thought once we frustrated them and got past that 20 minutes, we just started to grow and started to trust what the manager was asking.
I think as well, watching it and watching the both games against Man City last season, I think Jagielka seems to enjoy playing against Aguero.
Yeah,
he seems to bring the best out in him. And every time you look at it on paper before the game, and you go, Jags against Aguero. But every time he seems to actually enjoy rising to that occasion, and Aguero didn't get much change out of Jagielka last night, I didn't think.
No, I think Jagielka and Williams enjoy that battle, enjoy the backs up against the wall aspect. You go back to Old Trafford last season when we were really unlucky to concede the penalty in the last minute. When they just sort of 6 penalty spot defending, I think that suits them, because number one, they don't have to do much running around. The main thing they have to do is make sure they don't stick a leg in and cause a penalty, and just concentrate. And I think the very good players of their age, that's what they want to do. I remember Stubbs and Weir, and the year we qualified for the Champions League, that's what they did all year. They don't want anyone running behind them, because they've gone out the game. Then we've seen that. But when they're playing like that and we allow teams to come on, they're quite happy with that.
Yeah, I think if you look at Williams as well, we've bought him off the back of them kind of performances from when he played for Wales. So he does. They both seem to thrive on that, and then obviously you've got Keane in there as well.
Yeah, and I think what Keane's added is that ability to. He has got a little bit of pace as well, so maybe they feel a little bit secure knowing that he's behind them. When Holgate's playing as well, and you're right what you're saying. You hope eventually Holgate migrates into coming from that right hand side into a right hand wing centre back role in a 3. Yeah. Because that you can imagine him being very comfortable there, and if he did that as well, the pace factor then we would be able to play further up the pitch. And I do think that although people might be able to see it is that the manager is toughening him up and creating, making it so that he knows his job, so eventually he does fill in that spot. Because I do think the manager wants to play 3 at the back. I think it's very evident he just hasn't had the 3, and maybe feels with Keane now that he's got the 3. Because last year, every time we played, when we played 3 and it was Williams, Jags and Funes Mori, I just shuddered every time. But when Mason Holgate played in the 3, I was a lot more comfortable, because you knew if anything went over the top, he had the pace to deal with it.
He's got the intelligence as well. You noticed it a couple of times yesterday when he found himself in a more central position. He knows where the ball's going to be played. He seems to be able to read it well enough to I think play games there. Maybe something we'll see in the group stages.
And I think it's the other factor in all this as well. With a goalkeeper like Jordan Pickford, you know you can. Number one, you know that he's a good goalkeeper, and I think we've all been impressed by him so far. How he commands, and he really does command. Like he's got this arrogance about him, this authority that comes off him. I've mentioned it before. It's when he comes to do something, he goes and does it, and he has purpose. Where if you watched goalkeepers last year, whoever they were, they'll come for things and then change at the last minute and go to catch and then punch. And I think as a defender, that just, you hate that. You can't trust it. But if you know your goalkeeper's coming to punch or catch, or you know you can play a 5-yard pass to him and he'll deal with it very comfortably, there's nothing better as a defender. If you're in trouble and you think, well, I can go back, and it's not going to stop the flow of the game as well, because we've all seen his kicks, then I think that's such a big asset. He's
got a contagious confidence, hasn't he? And I think when you have young players in a back four like that can only be good. That can only be good for them.
Definitely. I just thought, I mean, Jordan is outballs from Pickford. There was one last night in the second half where he played it to Rooney, and Rooney's control was immaculate, and then he tried to put it in, and actually Rooney had a little bit more time to deal with it, but it was got us from defence to attack so quickly. And I think all those things just make it all a little bit happier and a little bit easier for, as I say, the likes of Jags and Ashley Williams. But I thought we grew into the game really well. I thought once we rolled out that little storm and they hit the post, and there was one where Jags Aguero square like shaped to shoot, and then Jags just put him himself on the floor and just basically said, well, get past me because you've got nowhere to go. And Aguero couldn't get past
City fans didn't like that at all.
No, I just thought it was brilliant.
Didn't go down well. Yeah, it was good.
I thought that was brilliant defending.
Body on the line defending is what we're talking about with Jags and Williams.
Yeah. And there's other one where he cleared off the line, which was interesting, because I was saying to the guy I was with at the match, there was a couple of times last night where Aguero had good chances to shoot. And I wonder whether, going back to Pickford, whether the authority of Pickford made him think twice about shooting. There was the one where he tried to lob more, tried to set someone up, and there was another one as well. It might have been the one where Jags put himself on the floor, might have been another one, but there was a couple of times where I just thought, you had the chance to shoot there, saw Pickford in goal and sort of thought, no, I need another touch to make sure. And that's another thing about Pickford, I think, is that it mightn't be the case, but you imagine when the goalkeepers used to go up against someone like Schmeichel, they'd always want to make sure they were 100%.
I think there's a bit more impetus on them to pick a square in the net. It's got, definitely they know it's got to be a good finish if it's a good goalkeeper. That's just logic, isn't it?
Well, you'd like to think so. And if he's got that authority already, that's
at his age.
That's superb. That's something we haven't really had since Nigel Martin, or certainly Neville Southall. Just people thinking, I've got to do something amazing to beat this goalkeeper. And also he's in his big orange kit as well, and you can imagine when he's like that, he's not the small, he looks small, Pickford, but he's very
I think you got because he's 20, is he?
No, 24
because he's 24, and you know that he's young in keeper years, if you like. I think you don't realise he's and obviously he's lining up behind the likes of Jagielka and Williams, who are like monsters. I think you forget that he's sizable enough himself.
I thought I can't say enough about him, but I say his kicking, he gets a bit cocky with his kicking, I thought, and some of it, certainly his right foot, I was like, just take a touch, kid. Just take a touch. You don't need, not every time.
Tried to volley one, didn't he?
Yeah, not every time does it have to come back to you, and you have. I know what he's doing. He's just keeping the ball going, and he's so confident. And that's brilliant. But at times, I'm just thinking, just take a touch. Just take a touch. Steady yourself, and pick someone out. I mean, there was one. Obviously, there was one in the first half where they nearly late on where it was led to Walker nearly get through, and Baines had to make an absolutely amazing tackle. But
Superb tackle.
I'm just thinking, take your time on some of them. But listen, he's young, as you just said. He'll learn that. But we grew into the, as I thought, once we got past that 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, we grew in the game, and we started to believe a little bit more that we could start breaking. And the amount of, I mean, obviously the amount, the outball was Calvert-Lewin. The amount of times we were trying to get him in wide, because he did play essentially as a lone striker last night, wide on the right, central. And the amount of times he were getting them that, round the corner ball and into his back to goal. And I thought once he steadied himself, and once people knew they could do that, and City players weren't getting near him, they didn't get near him all night. Once he showed that he was happy to go up against the City players, I just thought he was fantastic from there on.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree. I thought he put in it was a really good performance from him. But he grafted, as well. He wasn't just clearly talented.
Yeah,
like he had to graft to get the results, to get the results out of the defenders that he was getting. I don't think Otamendi had an answer to him.
No,
really,
he really didn't. No,
to be honest. He's starting to look like it. He's starting to look like he's doing what Tom Davis did last season, and he's taking his chance.
Yeah.
Because he knows at the end of this window there might be another striker in the squad, and where's that going to leave me? So he's taking his chance, and fair play to him.
But he's definitely got what he's got as well, as he's got the confidence of the manager, and he's had the confidence of the manager since the middle of last season, or certainly the turn of the year, whatever it was. The manager really likes him, and he's played him. Obviously, we've seen him play him on wide, and that doesn't necessarily suit him. But what I think the manager likes about him is that he's disciplined. You give him a job to do, and he'll do it. Some people don't like that, and some people don't necessarily see it. But I think when he scored his first Premier League goal, I think you've seen that when he played. I think he played on the left-hand side when he scored his first Premier League goal, and he came in and he got a tap in. The manager just likes the fact that he will do a job. I remember Anachabi used to play on the right for Moyes. Moyes loved him, and everyone used to go, "Why do you like him?" And it was because he knew if he could give him a job to do, he could trust him.
Bring down a long ball.
Yeah, and he could trust him. He could trust him to hold up the ball. He can trust him to run with the ball, winning fouls. And I think it was the same with Calvert-Lewin. But last night, what you saw last night was the evolution of that, where he's now playing like a number 9. And we've seen him last week in Stoke, first game of the season. I thought he was brilliant second half. I thought he really was. And he's getting that confidence now. And a lot of people say, and listen, I'm a little bit young for this, but people say he's like in the early years of Graham Sharp. He was very slight, Graham Sharp, but in the early days he had something about him. He wasn't brilliant, but that turned into something that became one of our most consistent centre forwards for post-war era. And that for Graham Sharp for 6 or 7 years, we had loads of other strikers with Gray, we had Lineker, we had people like Tony Cottee and Wayne Clark who would all score goals. But Graham Sharp, every year, 15, 16, 17 goals every year. If you've got someone who can do that for for 5, 6, 7 years, that
the age that we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there's no reason why he couldn't do that. And what I enjoyed about his performance last night was, if you look at the assist that he got for Rooney's goal, I think a lot of other young strikers of that age would have kept on going to the line and tried to cut it back in, but he was very intelligent, and he almost put his foot on the ball, sent the City defender for a Mars bar in the stands, and picked his path. And that's really mature. From such a young striker, I think.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, again, that a lot of the play last night you've seen, he will have developed by having to play on that right hand side, where people go, do you know what the Cressy kid he's doing all wax on, wax off, and painting the fence.
Yeah.
You seen the evolution last night. Every time he played on the right hand side, that was him painting the fence.
Yeah.
And last night you seen an evolution of that. You seen him, use all that intelligence that he's learned playing on the right with that endless running, where people have gone, well, what's he do?
Yeah.
You seen that last night. And you're right. A couple of times you picked up the ball, went wide, and people joined in, but I suppose people were slow to join it because he's quite fast. He's deceivingly fast. And he's a lot faster than a lot of other players. And you're right, because what he did last night, went for the goal, he slowed it down, waited for Rooney to make a late run, checked inside, and then played a lovely ball. And of course, okay, it was a lovely finish. Okay, got a little bit of luck. Comes off the inside of the keeper's leg.
Genuine nutmeg.
Yeah, well, there, keeper. You say the keeper gets a little bit of luck. He got a little bit of luck to actually just get a touch on it.
Really deliberately bounced it in off his heel and off the post.
Yeah, and that good. Obviously just. What I loved about that goal was it came at the perfect time for the City fans and players to just go, not again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Enjoyed it, didn't he, as well?
Well, why not? It's funny, he scored his 200th Premier League goal, and I know most of them have been from Man United, but I think he scored his 50th against City,
and he's 150
against City, and obviously he's 200, and he enjoyed it. And we'll talk about Rooney in a minute, but he really enjoyed it. But what it did was it sent the City fans and the players in, not again. And I think that's a thing we have to deal with a lot of the time as Everton fans, saying, oh, not again. But I think that's the thing. I think that's why
they brought Sterling on.
Yeah, well, just when he just kicked off second half for me. But I think that's why when we play City, we don't really seem to have any problems, because we have that over them. And as an Evertonian, I don't worry about playing City, even though they spend more money than anyone else. Whereas when we play other teams, we have the hangover of all things that have happened to us. Yeah. But Man City fans and Man City players seem to have a hangover of everything we've done to them. Certainly if you're a fan, that brilliant picture going around last night where it was
the same
fans, and I know it was Rooney and not necessarily us, but we've been there so many times in the last 10 years and got really good results for them and against them, and that's what we've got to start doing against the other clubs, going to places and not having that fear. And I know half the problem with that is you've got to create those moments to not have that fear. But it was evident last night. As soon as that goal went in, they were like, not again.
I think Chelsea under Mourinho hated playing against Everton as well.
They did beat us though.
Well, it was never an easy game for them. It was always one that it would be a real battle of a game, and he didn't seem to like it. And if we got a result against the Mourinho, we'll go, well, they got a result because they would kick and run and pull those old chestnuts out. So I think you're right.
It does. I mean, it does make a big difference, because you watch some of our players last night, the likes of Baines, the likes of Jagielka, who've played against City many times and have got that, know what it's like to win there, no fear factor. I'm not saying them, but you watch some players in those games, and you watch them when they go to other grounds. Old Trafford last season they did well, but Stamford Bridge, obviously Anfield is the major one, and they wilt it would just be nice to have that clean slate where you go to someone, and you go, we're going to do these today. Well, there's no fear. But I think that's what Rooney gives you. He gives you that clean slate where he's been to all those grounds, he's won at all those grounds, he's scored at all those grounds, he knows how that it works, and we'll go there and go, you know what, I don't care who you are. It was perfect when he was on Sky 6 after the game, when Gary Neville said, what was it like to go in City with what again? Exactly. And I think that's what Wayne Rooney gives you. And all those people who moaned about Rooney coming back, he's finished and all this, they don't appreciate how important it is to have someone in the dressing room that everyone can look up at. Because think about someone like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's not played. Right, he's played at Anfield and stuff last season, but most of these teams, he doesn't have that fear. He's a young lad. No. Tom Davies shouldn't have that fear. Pickford shouldn't have that fear. Holgate shouldn't have that fear. Any of the new players, we shouldn't have that fear. So if Wayne Rooney goes in and goes, lads, what are you worried about? We're playing them. It's a new season. It's just a ground. They're just fans. They're just football players. And I think that's exactly what Wayne Rooney has instilled already in the 17.
Yeah, I think if you look at a good number of the signings that we've made, one of the qualities or the attributes that Koeman and Walsh or whoever's conducting this is going for is his leadership is right up there.
Yeah.
You look. We've signed captains.
Yeah.
Like all over the pitch.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think that's a massive plus in what you're talking about when you say we should be able to go to the teams, certainly the teams that are around us in the league, or the teams where we've maybe struggled to get results away from home in previous seasons, and go clean slate.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good for the young lads that are coming through to have that leadership, and it's in all areas of the pitch as well.
Yeah.
Rooney, obviously, the embodiment of it, I would say, but there's certainly them kind of players all over.
Definitely,
the place.
yeah. I thought Rooney, certainly first half last night, his performance was brilliant. He, for a part of the half, probably 25 minutes on, I just thought he controlled everything. I thought he controlled the tempo. No one could really get near him. He was popping up all over the pitch, and he was just using all that experience. And he was always, when the likes of Davies got it, or when the likes of Calvert-Lewin, he was always an option. He always made himself an option, so they never found themselves in it. And that's brilliant for confidence. If you're Tom Davies or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you don't want to be losing the ball, you know, against these players. You want to have a safe option, get it back, do your job. And I just thought that's another thing he does. He's always an outball for anyone, really.
Yeah, I saw a stat on Twitter immediately after the game. So it was on Twitter, so we don't know exactly how true it is. But like,
everything on Twitter's true.
It's the internet. Saying that Rooney covered more ground than any other Everton player.
11k, according, I think Stan Collymore put the stat out, and I'd imagine it might be true then, because obviously he'd have the access to a lot of that data.
Yeah. And something similar in the Stoke game.
Yeah, I think it was the same. I think the same.
Well. So obviously it's it's early days, regarding his return, but he seems to really have the willingness, but crucially the motor. Yeah,
he's enjoying. Listen, he's enjoying it. He said himself, I think after the game, he said fitness is all about consistency. It's all about playing every week. He's going to be playing. You can see him after the game. He was bright red. You can tell he just played a big game of football where and I think the big part of it, I think what people forget about Rooney as well, when he was at Man United, for a lot of the time, he was always like second to someone else. Like when he came in, he was Van Nistelrooy, and then he was the emergence of Ronaldo, and he was always like doing stuff for everyone. It was almost like Ferguson knew how good he was and would go, "You're so good, I can play you left wing, or I can play you right wing, or I can play you centre midfield." He was always sort of second fiddle because of he's coming in at Everton, and then Koeman's going to say, "Right, you're the man. You are the man. You just do not do what you want," because he doesn't do what he wants. He's a very calculated player, I think, as well. He doesn't. If you say to him playing a free role, he wouldn't just go standing with his hands on his hips and wait for the ball to come for him. He'd go and find it, and he's a clever player. But he is generally now the leader of this team. You can see that's already. He doesn't need the captain and armband. He's the leader of this team, and I think he's took that responsibility, wholeheartedly. And you can see what both goals he scored mean to him as well. It's massive for him, I think, coming back to Everton. Yeah. He's won everything at United, and this is his next challenge.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can see in those moments where he's speaking to Koeman, like in breaks in the game. You can kind of see that there's that trust there.
Yeah.
And that he's Koeman's man on the pitch. Kind of thing.
Basically, yeah.
Which is, I mean, a bit of a step up from Osman being Martinez on the pitch.
Yeah. No, that you're absolutely right. The manager can talk to him and relate information, and no matter what anyone says about Wayne Rooney or his ability to talk in front of a camera, all that nonsense, he's up there with intelligence as a footballer. Is up there with anyone, because you've got to know how to get round the pitch and how to use. At the end of the day, he's 31. He's only going to have so much energy. He's got to know how to use it in the right ways. And I thought last night because when he gets the ball, everything slows down to his pace. I think that's the mark of a really good player. Really Go back to Scholes. Scholes was the master of it. He used to walk around. I remember watching a match at Everton. Man United were 3-0 up. They were 3-0 up. It was the one they ended up winning 4-3. Funny enough. and they were battering us, and I just went, do you know what? I'm just going to watch Scholes. And I just watched him, and all he did was walk up and down the pitch. But he was so good at it.
Yeah.
And he always found himself exactly where he needed to be. Because he just used that.
That's very, very true about the best players that you ever remember watching are the ones where the ball comes to them and time seems to slow down.
Yeah.
Just for a couple of Zidane was probably the one for me that.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
And Rooney's definitely got a little bit about that about him in the way that he'll control the ball, and he seems to get an extra touch to what you think he's going to get. He seems to be able to create that.
Yeah.
Enough time to do that, and then play the pass. Like going back to the Stoke game, he picked out a couple of worldy passes.
Yeah.
From just doing them, just taking that extra couple of seconds, where a lot of other players will take that on and get tackled by the time.
Yeah. Well, that's an issue. Well, number one, it helps if you've got a good first touch. Like if you don't have to think about your first, that's the Sunday League sort of players' problem, isn't it? When the ball comes to them, you're so worried about your first touch that you haven't even sort of surveyed all the other options. Whereas professional footballers at the very highest level, they don't even look at the ball. They just it's like, you'll do something with your hands. It's the same with footballers. They'll just feet, and that's he doesn't have to worry about that. He just touch. I'm looking around. I don't have to worry about I'm strong. And that's for me. He's been phenomenal so far.
That's going to make a huge difference to Everton's season, because that's something we haven't had.
No, we haven't. And I think what it'll do is it'll help all the other players, all the other youngsters, and creating that space and the time helps create space and time for other people, because he draws people in as well.
Yeah.
And that's just something Snyderland does very cleverly. I think he draws people in so that when he gives the pass, other people in space. So. I can't say enough about how good he was last night. I mean, obviously there was the sending off later on in the second half, in the first half. Sorry, Kyle Walker. He'd gone in. I think it was on Baines, wasn't he? Baines sold him one. He got a yellow card for that. And then the second one, it came not long after Baines had done that rescue tackle. Actually,
and he wasn't happy with the tackle.
No, he wasn't. Now, I was in the ground, and I thought straight away it was a yellow card. I thought straight away he was getting sent off.
Yeah.
Because you could see, I mean, obviously at the match and he caught up in it, but it just felt like from where I was, it looked like he'd swung an elbow. And that wasn't necessarily the case. But what I found really interesting is that it was the fourth official who seemed to tell the referee.
Yeah.
And so for anyone who's like, well, it wasn't a booking, or he dived or whatever, I just thought that was a really interesting. The fact that the ref had back up, like a pair of eyes squarely on the incident, and give it as a yellow card.
Michael Oliver, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
He was seen remonstrating with Guardiola.
Yeah.
At half time, but he was sure, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see them like giving it the old. I don't know what the ref's seeing there. But it looked like he. And if you actually watch the replay of it as well, at the point of impact, Calvert-Lewin does jolt, and it does send him over.
Yeah.
Now that might very well be because Calvert-Lewin's such a young player, and he probably isn't physically as strong as Kyle Walker, and it's probably played in our favour there. I don't think he's tried to hide the fact that he's been knocked over at all by any means. But I think the referee or the assistant referee of the case may have been has interpreted that very much in our favour, shall we say?
I mean, Walker has a look at him. I think that's the telling point.
Yeah.
Walker has a little look at him, and I think whether that's what Oliver's seen and doesn't necessarily see the contact. There was contact. Now, for me, Calvert-Lewin knows what he's doing. He's trying to win his team a foul. He knows that he's the wrong side in the start. It's a kick coming over. He's on the wrong side. Once he's behind him, he's got very little chance of winning that. So once he feels the contact, he's going to go down. He's going to take his chances. He doesn't want Kyle Walker to win the header, so he's taking the fact. So the ref bought it. If that's what he's done. Yeah. So I don't think it's not. I know there's different people, say different things. Carragher saying he's not going to feel good about himself and all that, but Neville saying, well, we've all done it. We've all tried to win fouls for it. I just think he was. I just think he was trying to win a foul, and it's resulted in a yellow card. But as I say, it's the fact that Oliver is so adamant, that it's a red card. And
I think it's the fact that there is an initial contact there, and it does move him.
But it is the look though. It's the look. It's the look that gets him. It's the look as in to say
he looks too early as well. If you know what I mean.
Stop looking, Kyle.
He looks way before the ball drops. Yeah. So
because as a defender, I don't think you should be concerning yourself
at that point. You should be looking
because you're in front of, as any player on a football pitch. You want to be in front of the play. Then you can move to jump. You can block them off with your strength. And there's no need there unless he takes a look to think, is he going to get round the front of me? Which I think he'd done quite well all night. He's so good in the air, Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. He's so good at getting up. He reminds me a bit like a Kale. He just get up.
High praise.
Yeah, well, he does. He just seems to win everything in the air. Yeah. And maybe that's what, again, we talked about Pickford before, having the presence, and maybe Calvert-Lewin already is getting into defenders' heads by winning so much in the air that players are now starting to.
Yeah. It helps if you get the quality.
Yeah.
Well, to be able to find yourself in them positions which he's getting.
So Kyle, just listen. Concentrate on I know you're not watching really, mate, but maybe someone relay the message. There'll be some City fans. So I mean, it might have been slightly harsh, but just concentrate on winning the ball, and you'll win it. So obviously they went down to 10 men at half time. I'll be honest, I knew straight away that we'd end up with 10 men. I knew
it would be.
And I pretty much knew. Anyone who was around me at the match last night, they heard me. I pretty much said that I knew that it was going to be Snyder going off at some point. I thought the ref's going to go in. He's going to watch the monitor to see if he got it right, has gone. Maybe I didn't get that right, and I thought you're going to even it up as soon as you can. But obviously, second half, they've come out, and I know they've only got 10 men, and people can say, well, I had seen a few people who's got 10 men here. But listen, City are absolute quality, and what they've got is players with so much movement. I mean, let's be honest. You look at that City team, and at times you don't know who's playing where. Yeah. They are so interchangeable.
Fluid.
They're good word. They're so interchangeable and fluid. At times you don't know where they're playing, and there's an old adage in football: the ball doesn't get tired. If you move that ball, the ball doesn't get tired. And I thought second half they did really, really, really well. But I just want to come on to the subs because I thought they were mad. I honestly think that. I'm not saying City wouldn't have got an equaliser last night, but I think the manager helped them. I really do. I think the subs didn't help, and taking Williams off was just a very, very strange one to me. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on it, and I haven't heard if he's injured or the manager's got an eye on Thursday, because I suppose he has to. But I just thought at that point we were dealing with everything they had. They were doing a lot of the things they'd done first half without too much success, and I just thought we were dealing with it. And I thought, I just wonder whether, I don't know, whether it would have been right to just leave them on and
stay with the back three
and keep doing what we were doing.
Maybe. What surprised me the most was that he didn't take Schneiderlin off. That was what really surprised me. I thought at half time he's going off.
Yeah.
With them getting, like you say, getting the sending off when they did, I thought, well, Schneiderlin's coming off here.
But who would you have replaced them with?
I don't know.
So that's the $1 million question, isn't it?
I mean, probably would have been Davy Glasson, wouldn't it? And shuffled the midfield around a little bit.
But he was on the bench as well. Don't forget.
Yeah.
See, got you.
Yeah, so
Besic was the only real centre midfielder and Klaassen. So we could have brought Klaassen on, yeah. So we could have brought Klaassen on. So that's one thing. Besic
would have been the only change.
Besic would have been the natural fit. But it's Besic, and I like Besic, but he probably would have got sent off.
Well, Schneiderlin did anyway. So.
Yeah. No, it was hard because people were saying about that towards the end. People were like, should take Dominic Calvert-Lewin off, and I was saying,
no.
For who? No. Who are you going to take him off for? Who are you going to take him off for?
He's a goal threat.
He was, and if he took Calvert-Lewin off, City would have had would have gone up the pitch in extra
and
20
he's the
yards.
out ball as well.
Exactly.
You know, and the other to touch on when Sigurdsson came on.
Well, I was just going to come on to that. I just didn't think that worked.
I just thought, obviously, he had the greatest intentions in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and he clearly wanted to get on and get his debut under his belt, but because of his lack of match fitness, he's played 45 minutes over the pre-season. He was a bit of a passenger.
I just thought that sub opened up the City's right hand side, and they were heavily reliant on their right hand side. You know, I think they brought that Danilo on as well, and he was just getting a run at Baines, and obviously Baines, you know, he's not getting any younger, and Jagielka being on that side as well. And I just thought that's where it was all coming from, and that sub I just thought we opened ourselves up a little bit too much when Williams. I don't know. I just don't understand why he took him off, because I just thought that basically said to City, well, is one less defender for you to attack.
Yeah, I think there's an element as well. You got to remember there's the Koeman Pep thing going on here. So you get a bit of a chess game vibe going on. So you make a change, I make a change.
Yeah,
and I think that's the way they are. If you remember the game from the last season as well.
Yeah,
you make a change, I make a change.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, in the end, the resistance couldn't hold out. But what makes it worse is, you know, it's a simple ball into the box, I think, to deal with. And Holgate, you cannot be heading the ball back into play there. You just can't. You just
woeful at that.
You just not. I think a player with more experience just ducks at the last minute there, and it goes over his head. And Silva's not going to read that. If you duck at the last minute, that's gonna go out. Or at the least, just skim it.
It's the worst place on the pitch you could have headed it.
Exactly, and Silva wasn't even challenging him. I think he might have been pulling him a little bit, but just get something on his side header anyway. That is literally the last place. You're putting it right back into the danger zone. And Sterling, of all people, who on another day probably would have just put that in Rowe's head, finds the bottom corner, and you know,
find just the right spot on his shin there, didn't he, with that?
And we concede our first goal of the season, and Pickford is finally beaten. And with 7 minutes to go, I'm thinking, I'm thinking, these are gonna go and get another one. But I mean, luckily enough, we managed to see it out. They didn't have many opportunities. I mean, Pickford had to make one great save, I think, actually before they'd scored, which nearly turned into a great chance for us, because Garnis kept the ball alive. I think he tackled Aguero, lashed it down to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who controlled it brilliantly, took Company for a run, and then Company took him out, which I thought showed exactly how good Calvert-Lewin was on the day, where Company just...
that he was causing them enough problems.
Yeah, that Company thought, I have to take a yellow card here.
Yeah, it's one for the team.
So, But we hung on to it. Not aided by, again, more poor refereeing, I thought. Sigurdsson. No. Sigurdsson. Schneidlin. Schneidlin, he wins the ball. Aguero knows exactly what he's doing. Yes, there's a case of his trailing leg takes Aguero out, but how are you supposed to tackle if you can't, if your body doesn't go through the ball?
I think he wins the ball cleanly enough, and then I think at that point, if the player does trip over your trailing leg and you've won the ball cleanly beforehand, then it's not even a foul, much less a booking.
Yeah.
It was
perfect, I thought.
It was great. It was Hibbert-esque. That's how good a tackle it was.
Too much praise on it.
That's how good a tackle it was.
I see Aguero's been very clever. He's got his body on the turn. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows any contact, he's going down.
He knows the ref's got his eye on Schneider.
Exactly, and that's what clever players do. I can't really have a problem with him for doing that, because I like Snide. I do. I enjoy Snide players. I can't really, I just look at the ref and I think, and we've said it so many times, this is where referees don't understand football. Don't understand that. For him to win that ball, his momentum will take him into the play. It has to. How otherwise would he win that ball? And what you're saying, that's a perfect tackle, but it's by the referee sticking to the exact letter of the law.
Yeah.
Not only does he give a foul, he's booked him and sent him off, and now he's suspended for the Chelsea game.
Crazy. I don't think he'd have got a first yellow card for it, put it that way.
No. But his first yellow card was pretty bad.
Yeah,
like, he cut Aguero in half.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
After 7 minutes, which, yeah. We haven't got...
them challenges happen the other way round.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. Refs are idiots. I don't know.
If he puts that the hang on, let me get this right. If he puts the first challenge in when he's already on a yellow card, he walks.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, 100%. But would he have got booked for the first challenge if he wasn't on a yellow card?
I don't think so.
So there you go. So that's a good rationale. But we survived a couple of late scares. The best late scare was when we got through and Besic tried to backheel it to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and completely missed the ball. And I immediately thought of, remember the Chelsea game when he backheeled it to Costa when we got beat?
Yeah.
I just thought, what are you doing? It's the last minute of the game. Just get the ball and keep the ball, and you're gonna have a better opportunity than trying to do an air kick.
I think one day we are going to see Besic's greatest backheels on DVD in a club shop.
Or none. I just think if that lad had a brain, he could be a player. I really do.
He's got the willingness, and he's desperate to do well, isn't he?
It reminds me of the water boy. I just think in his head it's going.
Bobby Boucher.
Yeah. But we survived. Got through it, and it's a valuable point. I just wish some things were a little bit different, but it doesn't always work out like that. Let's just talk very quickly about a couple of other things. We had Tom Davies, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Holgate, Michael Keane, Jordan Pickford, young were they the young English players? Baines, Jagielka, Rooney on the pitch last night. You know, they talk about the lack of English players, and certainly the young ones. But last night I just thought that was fantastic. Certainly, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. There's been a lot of talk about none of the under 20 players who won the World Cup getting a chance, but it showed. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin last night showed. Tom Davies, who probably should have been in the under 20s, but the club I think asked to be rested or something like that. And Holgate again as well, who's a little bit older. But even with all the spends that have happened, it's great that the club are still retaining that English British sensibility. If you'd had Ashley Williams, I suppose.
Unzi's got to take a bit of credit for that, hasn't he? With
got to take all the credit.
The job that he's doing there. Bit of a promotion for him recently, or in title. More responsibility, I'd say he's got now, but he's earned it, and that's fantastic. That shows you that he's not just sort of there to make up the numbers, and he's doing a fantastic job. And he's showing on the pitch in the first team, crucially.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing, that those young players, and something you said earlier about grabbing your chance and taking it. That's what Davies certainly did, and now is in and around. He's one of the first team players. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is doing the same. Holgate, although he was someone who was brought in, is doing the same thing. And I suppose that's what, and we've mentioned this, the likes of Lookman, the likes of John Joe Kenny if he gets his chance, the likes of Dow when he comes back. That's what they've got to do. They've got to seize that opportunity when it's presented, because the manager, I think, has got to take a lot of praise in this as well, because he's been willing to play them, and he's played more. He's played Pennington. He's been willing to play young players from our academy. He's been willing to give them a go, and if they've done well, he's stuck with them. He hasn't just thrown them to the side, and I think that's he's got, because obviously when he came from Southampton,
took a bit of stick, didn't he, about not playing the kids?
Exactly, and they were and then obviously the best line was like, I don't remember him. When someone asked him about Southampton player.
If the Southampton kids were good enough to play them, kind of thing. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, it's something Everton have always done. For as long as I can remember, is they've got that ability to bring through and blood a young player if he's good enough and get him in there. But now we're seeing it happen in numbers. Yeah, which maybe we haven't had previously, where they're coming through, and there's a lot of players that are first team quality. I was surprised to see them let Dahl go out on loan. To be honest, however, you look at the highlights of the Forest games that you're seeing now, and you go, oh yeah, well, yeah. I wasn't surprised, because I've watched him play with the under 23s, and he's just not ready.
but the only way he'll get ready is by playing games, which he wouldn't get.
Yeah.
He would. I think it's if he'd sat on the bench this season for Everton and played some under-23 games, it's not going to help his development. He's the kind of kid who needs to have gone somewhere and start lighting that place up, and that's why him, Joe Williams, who's the ones have gone? A couple of others are going to have me on loan. A lot of that part of the under-23 team last year have gone on loan.
Looks very different now.
That's why I don't quite understand the John Joe Kenny thing. But again, I think he's just waiting on the John Joe. Maybe when we get in the group stage, if we get in the group stages, that John Joe will start getting games and stuff. So I'm hopeful anyway. And then you look at the core of the team of the squad, and you think that's brilliant, because even though we're spending all this money, there is still an appreciation for that academy, and that there should always be appreciation for that academy.
I think there's two real catalysts behind that. Obviously, you've got Tom Davis, who, as you said there, he grasped his chance when it was given to him, and the players that have come through the ranks with Tom and see Tom Davis making the progress that he's made are going, I fancy a bit of that. But also Wayne Rooney, a product of our academy, coming in and being the main man.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sigurdsson, I know we mentioned before, but I wanted to hold back. And what did you make of his sort of debut?
I felt, because of his lack of match fitness, he ended up being something of a passenger in a game where we didn't need passengers. Unfortunately for him, I'm sure it'd be great. In
hindsight, I thought it was an absolutely terrible decision to bring him on. Obviously, we're all excited as fans. We want to see him. He's our, biggest ever buy, and we're all excited. And the idea of him coming on, he came in obviously with Klassen, and I just think that fucked it up for us, if I'm honest.
I was seeing the tweets in my head before.
The manager should know his level of fitness, and throwing him into a game that was 100 miles an hour and that we were under pressure, and also then playing majority down our left hand side just didn't help him. He had no time to get into the game, because a lot of the game was just going that way all the time, and everything we were trying was getting broken down quite early, and he just didn't help the situation. And he was for about 3 or 4 minutes after he come on, there was a few interchanges, and he put a set piece in, a couple of things, but after that he was just a passenger. And I just think in hindsight, I think the manager got a little bit excited there.
Probably, yeah. And
maybe should have just threw Klassen on and then waited another 5 or 6 minutes just to see how the game developed, and how it changed before thinking about bringing him on. I understand why he did it, and I suppose this brings me on to my next point. We've been accused in too many of these games of being too negative, but I thought last night we were too positive. I thought the manager, when he made those changes, I thought he was just too positive. I think his idea in his head was, these have only got 10 men, we're going to throw these 2 players on and we're going to start stretching them.
Yeah.
But with Klassen going into a midfield role, which they're all fighting fires, and Sigurdsson not being fit and not having another centre forward. At that point we needed another centre forward, because Rooney by then was quite tired as well, and he was fighting fires. He couldn't get hold of the ball. We needed another player up front to help Calvert-Lewin out. Although that player wasn't on the bench, so don't start with that like we haven't got another one apart from Sancho. But I just think for me we needed to be a little bit in the middle, and maybe just bringing Klassen on for 5-6 minutes, then just re-establish where we were in the game, and then maybe look to bring Sigurdsson on, maybe more in a more advanced position then.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, a little cameo at the end perhaps for him.
Yeah,
would have been a bit more appropriate. But yeah, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
No, it is, and as a fan, we have to trust the manager.
Yeah,
because he will know his levels. But I just thought a manager has to manage within a game and has to see what the levels of the game. And I think, if I'm right, I think Guardiola might have made that sub on the right hand side after, and I think as a result, I think he may have looked at him and gone, he hasn't got the legs, and we can get at these. And ultimately I think the ball came from the right hand side and that's where the goal. But it's alright for us to say in hindsight, but the manager, you would like to think, would know his levels. And listen, he might have been banging around the training looking great, and then goes on the pitch. I mean, it's not just his fitness. He's going to play in a new team, in a position he mightn't be completely familiar with, surrounded by, everything's different.
Yeah,
we just thrown him into a situation that.
Yeah, a big part of his game, you know, dead balls and deliveries aside, is covering a lot of ground and closing people down. So fully fit Sigurdsson.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about a completely different substitution there.
Yeah,
I just think with where he's at in terms of his fitness, not right for him.
In a positive way, he's got half an hour under his belt.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll get maybe 90 minutes or 75 minutes or an hour at Split, and then something at Chelsea. Then he goes away, has a couple of games with Iceland, comes back, and he is ready to play against Spurs if the manager will.
For once, that the international break could do us a favour.
Yeah. Touch wood. So yeah, I mean, final point is, I mean, we drew. It's another draw, but I mean, what's it going to take for us to start winning these games? To sort of be able to see out
something different every time, isn't it? Like it's never the same.
No,
there's always some little.
But we seem to get. We've seen when we play these games, we have a plan, and we've taken the lead. We did the same with Old Trafford last year. Even at Anfield, when we got back to 1-1, and then we sort of revert back to type. And I just wonder what it's going to take. What's going to change that we don't just sort of cower in our own half.
I think it'll take us to win one.
Possibly so, yeah.
And then you know we beat Chelsea next week at the weekend.
Yeah.
And they go, well, remember Chelsea?
Yeah. Maybe they'd have it.
So that's all you.
Nothing will change.
All you're going to do is just beat Chelsea.
Yeah. Nothing will change till it changes. There you go.
Deep.
I don't even know if that works, but no, we were. I suppose. Listen, I suppose that's the flip of the coin. That goes back to being too positive, too negative. If somehow we'd score the second goal at 1-0 because of those changes, you know, Sigurdsson runs onto a classing cross, you know, and everyone goes, he's a genius. He's gone for it. He's not like Moyes. You know, he's gone for it. And that's where a manager, I suppose, lives or dies. You know, and.
Fine margins.
It is fine margins, and and I think it's funny. I was talking to doing a show yesterday with the Spurs fan, and he was saying about Tottenham getting beat by Chelsea, and he went, "I'm not worried." He said, because with 5 minutes to go, it's 1-1, and we are still trying to win that game, and we weren't settling for a point. And he said, "Okay, we got beat because we were trying to have a go." He said, "I'd rather that." He said, because at the end of the day, and I subscribe to this. When if it's 1-1 in the last 5 minutes and you're trying to win it, I'd rather see us do that now, because that's what gets you into the top four, taking those risks. You know, there was games last season away from home, and I appreciate why he did it. There's likes of games like Middlesbrough when it was 0-0 with 10 minutes to go, where we could have had a go there and we could have gone on and won the game, but he decided to settle for a point. And in the bigger scheme of things, winning home games, throwing away games, it's not the worst scheme. But if you want to break into that top 6, top 4, we're going to have to start pushing on the last 10 minutes to try and win games. And I suppose that's what he tried to do, because ultimately he would have looked at it and thought, well, at 1-0, if we get the next goal, we've won this. If we concede the next goal, at worst we should get a draw. So I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I think if you know, whatever way you cut it, it's a way. It's still away at Man City.
Yeah,
and I think if it's a classic cliche, isn't it? But if you'd have said, you know, at the end of the season, last season you draw, would you take 1-1 at City?
Yeah.
Next season you'd probably go, yeah.
I suppose it's more important in those games that we should be winning away from home. But fair enough. Listen, I've got no problem with a bit of ambition. It just never quite worked.
But it says a bit about sort of how far we've come, that you look at Man City away now and we've drawn 1-1. You're going, was that 2 points dropped?
No, it is. You're right.
You know, I think
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Are you disappointed we never got the 3 points, or you know, was a fair result? Also on the Schneidel incident, are you accepting it's a yellow card, or you know, are you going mad like Schneidel when I thought he was going to punch Aguero in the face and tell him he was a bad Schneid? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching Toffee TV. Thank you for watching the final word. Don't forget to, if you're an international viewer, you've got to the end of the month if you want free shipping. Click the link. And if you haven't joined Patreon, why haven't you? Rob's on there, and that's why he's here. Big thanks to Rob for coming in. You could too. Join now. See you later.